My name is Keoni Momohara. I'm a public insurance adjuster and owner of Paramount Public Adjusters, and I'm excited to gain some insight and feedback on expectations and client communications.
How about a big hand for Keoni?
I'm just going to hold this because I can't get it to clip. So, my name is Keoni. I'm a public insurance adjuster. Sounds like a weird, complicated title. Really, it's not. The insurance companies have adjusters. They go to your house, they do the things, they write the check. I do that, but I work for you as the homeowner, not for the insurance company. I don't like the insurance, but I don't dislike them either. They have a job to do, but so do I. I'm a consumer protection company, I guess you would say. The hope is that when you hire me as your adjuster, not only do you get represented against an insurance company who uses big words and big scary language to scare you off, but that you get the funds that you're actually owed to do the work that needs to be done. So your house doesn't look like a mosaic painting. It looks like a nice put together house in a nice neighborhood. I always say that they have an adjuster. You should too. They've got people that are their front line that represent them. You should have someone do the same for you. The problems I'm solving are coverage of claims. A lot of people give me denials. The insurance company says, no, this isn't covered because of this, this, and this. I read through the nitty-gritty language and say, actually, you're wrong. It is covered. And I present the evidence to show them that. I also handle the money on the claims. A lot of times people have a contractor and contractor says there's 20. Insurance company says, I'll give you 10. There's a big gap there. So I'm in charge of getting you the additional money so that the contractor can do what he needs to do. I also relieve stress. Because I'm in the industry, it stresses me out, of course, but not in the way that a homeowner would. I don't, thankfully, have yet had the experience of walking into my house and seeing water trudge through the living room. That's stressful for a lot of people. They don't want the phone calls. They don't want to be bombarded with people telling them things they don't know about. They don't want to have to deal with the mitigation companies and get all the documents. So I'm also in charge of that. That's one of the bigger issues I solve is they're going to leave you alone, live your life. I know it's hard to live your life in a broken house, but do your best. I'll take care of the rest. My current challenge, I would say, is setting expectations completely and fully upfront. Expectations are important. You need to be setting expectations so that not only I, but the client knows what we're doing, what the goal is, what the bar is. But I, unfortunately, in this industry, have to have a lot of them. And it's hard to set them all at once without people just glazing over and looking bored. And paying attention to them and understanding them is another thing. I also don't want to miss any expectations because those are important, especially when it comes to money. Like, I'm getting you money. There's an expectation that you give me money back. It's kind of how business works. But some people don't seem to understand that expectation or seem to think that they can push it out 2 years. And at the end of the day, I'd like to be able to blame it on the process. I'd like to be able to set the expectation up front. And if anyone doesn't abide by it or we have an issue, then I can simply blame it on the process. I'm a nice guy. I don't like being a jerk. So I'd rather say, hey, unfortunately, I can't dictate this. My process says this. But I'm not sure how to quite set that up so that, one, they're paying attention to the expectations, they're acknowledging them, and I'm not missing any up front. I don't want it to be like a, hey, look at this expectation sheet, because that just feels like kindergarten, and you're not that, you're an adult. I also don't want to sit down and film an hour-long video explaining why an expectation is the way it is. So I'm trying to find creative and I don't want to say fun because expectations aren't fun, but find a way to make them easy to present. People want to engage with it, and I can call back to it at any time. Right now, I've tried welcome emails. They just get deleted. I've tried processes in invoice. Like, hey, I have a process for the invoice that doesn't make them pay attention to it anymore. It's just an email. And I've also learned that, of course, people don't read emails or terms and conditions. They just don't. Expectations are barriers, kind of like, hey, we're not going to pass this point, and I can remind them of that. And I've learned to front load things. The more they know in the front, the better. And I've also learned that 1 million cups will give you a lot of information. Last time I presented here, I got a list, and I stopped and looked at that list, and I said, if I was to implement every single thing on this list, it'd take me at least 2 years, because it was just so much information. It's a little plug to 1 million cups, but that's the thing that I'm looking for, and that's my community ask, is share some creative ways that I can set expectations up front without missing any but not boring people to death. And if you want to contact me, my phone Tapify is right there on the QR code. I think that's all I've got.
Good job. I think you're one of the few presenters that actually gets your presentation done in less than 6 minutes. Way to go. No, I've known you a long time, and I've been following your journey, and education seems to be the biggest, one of the stumbling blocks, educating people as to what it is that you do, right?
Yeah.
But is it true that insurance companies are going to try and pay the least amount, consumers trying to get the most amount? I hear roofing companies saying, hey, we're trying to make you whole, or restoration companies. You hear all these different narratives on both sides. And so I guess my first question would be, how did you get into this? Because this is a unique proposition that you're involved in.
Yes, I fell into it. Really, literally. I was in a parking lot. I was like 20 years old, didn't know anything what I was doing with my life. My cousin called my dad, of all people, and was like, hey, I need you to do estimates and invoices. My dad is like almost 70. He writes estimates on paper. And I was like, you're asking the wrong person, for one. But I'm also unemployed and I'd love to help. So I started with that. He threw an insurance estimate at me and was like, figure it out. I'm like, okay, this is foreign language. What do you want from me again? So then my ADHD brain kicked in and I hyper-focused on it. And I knew the insurance estimate in and out. I was like, oh, here's what you're saying. Then I got to negotiating with them, saying, hey, you need to pay more money. And they would. And I was kind of shocked. So I was like, okay, well, I'll get you to pay more money. Then one of them said, stop talking to me unless you have a license. I'm not paying this. For one, you said you're not paying this, which just pissed me off. And two, I didn't know there was a license. So I went and got a license. And then, after I got the license, I met with that same adjuster who told me to stop talking. He got on site and he just said, what do you want? And I said, this, and this. He said, okay, I'll write it. That claim went from 2,000 to 97,000.
Oh my God.
So I was like, okay, yeah, clearly I have a license. And it works. And I can, what? So that's how I fell into it. It was really just kind of an organic thing. Someone told me no. I have to tell people why I'm right. And I got a license to do just that.
Great success story.
Okay.
Yes.
So she's right over there. She's it happens. So this might not be a fun or creative idea, but when it comes to some of those expectations and contract terms, I've found that adding an initial line directly below each individual clause, at least the most important ones, makes a big difference. You need to take my plan to an engineer. Check here. There are no refunds on deposits. Check here. And those little things make it a lot, they're still going to gloss over and they're still going to sign it, but it's much easier to go back and say, hey, I tried to let you know up front. Here it is. And then the other thing with front loading some of the payments, and I don't know exactly what your terms are, contractors get paid in percentages as the project progresses. You shouldn't have to wait till the end for yours. If there's some way to build it in on those disbursements where you're getting a percentage or a dollar amount each time, that will help with, on the back end, having this big lump sum at the end 2 years later.
Yeah.
Not fun, but
Good
No,
feedback.
it sucks, but
Teresa, is this your first
it
time
is.
1 million cups?
It's funny. I mean, you've been my friend for a long time, and I never really understood what you did. So,
That's
thank you.
everybody. Yeah.
And I do tons of hail work, and so I like my current house that I'm having issues with. The insurance company is going to pay for 3 sides of the house being painted. And I know we're like a full, like if you're going to paint 3 sides, you have to paint 4 sides. So having an advocate is, I think, very important. People need that. I was curious if you could clarify like some of the expectations that you're talking about. Just because I don't, like, what are some of the biggest ones that you feel like people are missing? Like if you could give it just a couple of examples.
I think the biggest one is payment. The biggest one is money. It's odd because as an adjuster, I get to put my name on the check. So my name has to be on the check. I have to sign it before they sign it. But that still doesn't seem like people will just keep the check for 3 months. Like, yeah, my name's on it, their name's on it. They're like, can't do anything with it. That's probably the biggest one. The other one is probably communication. Like when I give you an update or when you can bombard me with telephone calls. People will call. I CC them in most emails. So like you know that things are happening and you get the information when I do, but people will often just call and call and call and email and email. Like what's going on? What's going on? Why you want me? How does this go faster? I'm like, for one, I'm not the insurance company. I can't make them sit down and type on their computer. But I think those are the biggest two, is the payments and the communication. Like, hey, please don't bombard me with phone calls and emails. I'm working on it and you have a portal, but again, people don't read. So it's hard to direct them in that. But I'd say communication and payment. Yes.
Yeah. Well, clarification on kind of where you come in the process. Like, say something happens to your home, like would I contact you before I reach out to my insurance? Do I reach out to insurance first to see what they say and then double check it kind of with you to see if it makes sense? And then like, do you communicate with the insurance company on my behalf? Or again, are you more of like kind of this, advisor on the side that I kind of run things past?
So the timeline of getting into the claim really is up to the homeowner. A lot of times if they walk in and they see water all over their floor, they're going to call the insurance first. That's okay. A lot of times I can't do much without them saying something first. So you can call me anytime. I've got people that call me 2 years after a loss saying, hey, this has dragged on for 2 years. I have people that call me the day of the loss, want me to be there as well. So the timeline is really up to you as the homeowner. It's easier, of course, if I'm there from the start, then I can present the information, make sure you don't say that I have flood in my basement, because then they'll automatically deny the claim. So it's helpful on the front end, but it's not necessary. And then with the communications, all communications come to my office. Most of the time an insurance company will switch adjusters to a qualified adjuster to talk to me. I don't know why they have to do that, but they'll switch adjusters and then you won't be communicated with directly, because there's little things you can say or not say that just let them take advantage of the whole situation and deny and run. So communications don't go to the homeowner, they go to me. They're of course included in it, like they'll get a copy of the paperwork and a copy of the email, but they're not reaching out to ask you direct questions.
And then follow-up one, do you cover things like outside of home stuff, like, I don't know, cars or commercial stuff, or like, what other kind of industries do you work in?
Yes, so I'm property and casualty. I'm limited by the state of Montana to that. I cannot do health claims. I wish I could. They said no, but I can do property. I can do auto. I have a guy that does auto really well. RVs, campers, contents. I'm working on a Birkin bag out of Texas. Some guy damaged a Birkin bag. So
Is that a store? What is that?
No, like the Birkin, like Prada, Gucci. Yeah. So I can fight for, never thought I would, but I can get you money for your Birkin bag or your Louis Vuitton.
Hi. Can you clarify a little more about what your current communication is regarding payment and how it works? And then what the exact process is with cashing those checks? Like, I know you need both names on it, but who do you need to be together? Like, can you give us a little more clarity on that?
Yep. So a lot of it is dependent on the claim, but really when I go through the contract, I made a little video that walks them through it. Could probably redo that. But essentially the process is I get paid when you get paid. I'm changing it now to saying, yes, I get paid when you get paid, but I get paid first. Because there's mortgage companies. I had a guy with like 3 mortgage companies on it. So it was like 6 names on a check. That took about 3 months to process. And then of course they'll lose the check. So we have to start all over again. But I'm changing it now to say, when we get an additional fund, like we get approval on funds, I send you an invoice, you pay the invoice. It's worked, but again, it's just communication verbally. When it comes to the check itself, they don't have to be present. Usually I make them sign it. I take the check, sign it, put it in my bank account, cut them a check for the rest.
Okay.
And that's fine. That works. But again, getting them to either leave the check in the mailbox or...
Does the check come to you first?
Depends.
Okay.
Most of the time it'll come to my office. Sometimes it's ACH'd into their account. Sometimes it sends to their home. Yeah.
That's just kind of dependent on your insurance.
It's dependent. Yeah. I had one guy who wouldn't let me. This was the first claim I did, so I won't do it again. He's like, I'm not doing that. It's going to come to me and your name's not on it. So I was like, okay, but that was a nice claim, so I can't complain on that. Most of the time, they're okay with sending it to my office. Sometimes the insurance company just ignores it and it's like, no, it's going to the homeowner.
Bet they don't just send it to your Venmo. Right?
I know, right? Just Venmo me the money. I have Cash App, Venmo. You want to leave a tip? Zelle, yep. Tap to pay.
On your portal, do you have like a checklist so they can kind of see like, we have submitted the claim, insurance has come back to me, and you can just mark off like, yes, this has happened, or no, it hasn't happened?
Yes and no. The portal that is provided is pretty limited. It just gives you the stage. So I can set the stage like negotiations or appraisal or inspection. And then they can see an activity log, but it's getting people to just look at the portal. Because like I said, we can send a welcome email with the portal in it, but they still call in or asking questions. I could. Yeah. It's a good idea.
Yeah, I think speaking of breaking things down and communicating things, I don't know if everybody's like this, but when you mentioned an expectation sheet being like maybe patronizing, I don't know if it would be, because this process is so murky to people outside of your industry. That, and I'm aware that I'm unaware of most things, you know what I mean? So that maybe not everyone is running around like that. But I think if you can create clarity in these situations and a referenceable thing, yeah, I just want to encourage you in that, like,
Yeah.
go forward with that. And maybe if people aren't aware of that, you might not want to work with them. You know what I mean? Because
That's true.
they're going to be your problem customers, you know? So
Yeah.
just wanted to encourage you in that, like,
Yeah.
let the patronizing language fly, and it'll be a good filter for you.
Yes.
Shame on me. This is David over here. He's with our team as well, American Distributing Company. I love his quote. I'm very aware of my unawareness. That was really good.
Yes.
Who's next?
Are you using a CRM currently?
Yes.
Does it have the ability to text and email?
No.
No. Okay.
It's a system that looks like it was built in 1997 on Windows 7.
Okay.
There's like no, I love to automate, but there's like no APIs. There's nothing to it really. Yeah, it's a system specifically for public adjusters.
Okay. It might be worth it to look into something that would allow, you could build an automation from that to a text, or email that would give them a reminder link at the end of every week, or whatever the timeline was or when there was an update. So that was one thought that I had, is could you send a text message? Because I think sometimes people are far more responsive to texts, especially when it's something that's, as like David said, as important as what they're going through, as a reminder. So I thought that might be a good thing. And then the other thought that I had is I use and there's lots of these. The one that I use is called Plod. It's a AI recording device. And so like yesterday I did 4 hours of training with a brand new employee and I recorded the entire session. And then I uploaded that into my AI and had it break it down into the different modules that I'm needing to build. So there might be a great tool like that where you could record your conversations throughout the day and then upload it and have it pull out the pieces that are applicable to Mr. and Mrs. Smith and to so-and-so, right? That might be then able to put in that email and it wouldn't be overly cumbersome. Like it's a very slick, tool that saves me a lot of time and it helps me build the infrastructure a lot faster.
Yeah.
Hi. You mentioned that you also have a team, so you have a guy that does auto insurance and whatnot. Who else is in your team? And you guys have like agents as well? Like how many people are in there and what are all the services you guys provide?
Yep. So I used to have some back-end admin. I don't anymore. AI can pretty much take most of what they do. The other guy, he's not business partners. He's just another company that does it. So I just kind of sub those out. So right now it's pretty much me and whatever AI I can find to help.
Okay, so how do you get paid? Like, is it a set amount versus claims, or is it on a percentage? I heard you say it was like at the end when they got paid, that kind of thing, but what is the actual fee so that when people are trying to come to you, like, what does that fee look like?
Yeah. I have a little retainer up front that's automated with the contract, and then it's 10% of the increase. So anytime we get any more money, we get 10% of that.
Okay.
So 2,000 to 97,000. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So I think that helps you because obviously in the end, you want to fight for the homeowner and get more money, but that also makes it more money in your pocket too. So that's a win-win. What is the retainer though? Is it something kind of like a chunk of money I have to come up with first to give it to you and then hope that you can do that? I mean, is there a guarantee or, I'm just wondering that.
Yeah. So the retainer is $200.
Okay.
That's paid upon the signing of the contract.
Yeah.
I had to implement that just because cash flow sucks.
Yeah.
So $200 here, $200 there helps. And most of the clients can feasibly do the $200.
Right.
And that's just to make sure that I'm paid for the time that I have to set the claim up. I have to go take pictures, measurements. I have to do a whole ton. I have to do essentially all of my work up front and then hope to recoup it on the back end. So the retainer is a little bit of, hey, here's $200 to go measure my house, take photos of it, inspect it, start all the email communications, populate the documents, start calling people. And then the rest of that comes when I get more money.
Mm. And then one more thing, is it you're looking for people that have had issues and don't think that their quote was fair or whatever they're going to pay is fair? Or are you trying to get say anyone going through the claim?
Really,
starting a claim.
Really, it's a double-edged sword. It could be anyone. Anyone could use representation, even if it's an auto claim. I heard a lot of people say, my insurance is giving me $1,500 for a car that's worth $5 or $10. You're entitled to that money. You paid for the policy, and you've paid them more than that in premiums over the years. And then when it comes to property, it's kind of the same thing. Most of the time, it's a coverage dispute. Like, hey, I'm not going to pay for this because of this. And those are the times where I'm most beneficial. I can help with the increase of money, but a lot of times a contractor can work that out between the insurance company in most cases.
Question before I give it to John. Are there certain, and maybe you can say it out loud, maybe you can't, but I'm assuming that over the years, there's certain companies that are easier to work with than others and some that are more difficult?
Yeah. That
you could advise on, you should get this insurance and maybe not that insurance?
Yeah. So if they advertise on national television, stay away. And AAA actually is really good. So Travelers is decent. But for the love of all things holy, do not go with State Farm. Do not go with Allstate. Do not go with Safeco or Farmers. Yeah. Yeah.
Like a big five, yeah.
Yeah.
John's got a question.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions, but first of all, so talk about you want them to follow this process, and you have the portal. Do you have clients using the portal from like the very beginning of like onboarding? Like it all starts in the portal, and that's where everything happens.
Yeah, so the software, the CRM that I use is clunky.
Okay.
The portal only kicks in if they're in the system as a claim. So I have to go through the whole intake process and contracts, then enter them in manually into the CRM before the portal populates. And I tried having another portal, like pre-intake, but then I put the whole process in there and I was duplicating entries. So I'd put information in one and have to go to the other, and it didn't save time.
Okay.
It was just...
Well, that's just my thought. If that's like, if you could somehow fix that. If they're going to the portal, like that's just where they go. That's where they go to start everything, and then they know. Then there might be less of like, calling you and everything, because that's where they've always done the claim.
It's a good idea. I should figure something out for that.
The other quick question is, can you talk about like you get paid on the 10% increase? Because from talking to you before, as I understand it, a lot of time that's not coming out of the customer's pocket, like because the contractor is often willing to work with you so that that you can get paid.
Yeah, so when I talk to homeowners and contractors, a lot of times a contractor is way more willing to take 90% of 60,000 than 100% of nothing. I think all of us are. So there's that part of it. They're usually willing to do the work for less because they're getting something from it. At this point, they've tried and tried and tried and they can't. So they would rather take a little bit less money to get money. And when it comes to the homeowner's payment, right now, I wait till the check gets there. So you're not taking any money out of your bank account. It's just coming off the insurance funds, and the contractor's under the expectation that this is the money left. Going to the newer upfront, like you owe me when I know there's money coming, it's the same principle. They know that they've got a check for 20,000 coming, so it shouldn't be too hard to pull out 2,000 and wait a week for the 20 to come.
I'll pass this to Kim. I'm sure you've thought of this a million times. Have you thought about doing this in other markets, like franchise model?
Yes. I'm licensed in Montana, Wyoming, Texas, and Utah. Licensing is easy. The biggest thing is sales and people on the ground, but everything else can be done virtually.
So I'm tracking on you, but how do you measure gain? So like you said, okay, I can hire you up front, but then how do I know the gain unless I've experienced the pain of, oh, they're not, they're only going to cover 3 sides of my house. And that upsets me because, I've got vinyl siding or whatever, and the 4th side doesn't match for spit, right? Or whatever, or it needs to be painted, and the 4th side isn't going to match for spit. And so now I need you. And so then I can see that I need you, right? Whereas, maybe I have State Farm, and I think I might be into a pickle, and so I hire you up front. How do I know what the gain is?
So a lot of times with the insurance claim, you'll know that you're in a pickle within the first 5 days. They're going to send you an estimate, and it's going to be nothing close to what your your contractor has said it is. And a lot of times when they get in the front end, it's just like, I don't want to deal with this. I don't care what we get. I just don't want to, this is too much. I don't want to talk to the insurance. I don't want to mess anything up. I just want to sit back, go play with my kids, have someone deal with the insurance claim and coordinate with my contractor. So in the front end, that's the value for getting me involved in the beginning, is I'm, for one, ensuring that we're not saying things we shouldn't, and that we get money and you don't have to talk to them. Because as soon as you file a claim, you're going to get 4 phone calls. Desk adjuster, field inspector, scheduler, and desk adjuster again. And people are like, I don't have time for this. I'm working a full-time job. Leave me alone. Send me the check. I'll deal with it later.
Okay. I have a question about what your marketing currently looks like, because I'm thinking you can set some of these expectations by doing some fun little reels with scenarios about oh, hey, has this happened? You know what I mean? And then you can set the expectation directly in your marketing that goes out. Are you doing, what kind of marketing are you doing now?
None.
Ah, okay.
That's I know that's something I need to work on, but I've just been thankfully blessed that I've not had to ask for business since the day I started. So I've not really focused on the marketing because it's all just coming in.
Yeah.
But that's a good way.
I think you can use it as an educational tool and then also just kind of explain, because I didn't know people like you existed. I didn't know that was a thing that we could have. So I think that would be a nice way to set expectations way before anyone ever needed you.
Yeah.
Like if I just followed you on Facebook and I've been watching all your cool little videos for a year and then something happens to my house, I already know I'm going to call you and I already know what I need to do.
Yeah.
You know?
That's smart. I didn't think of that.
Gotta know ahead of time. Who's next?
I know how to do that. I just didn't think of it for this.
Emily, then Teresa.
Yeah. Whoa. I don't like how time flies.
Is the CRM or the portal that you're using, is that something that is dictated by anyone besides you? Like it's the only thing in the market that or what? Tell me a little more about that.
Yeah. So the market for public adjuster CRMs is very small. There's like 3. I'm using the biggest one that's got the most features and is the oldest, so there's not bugs.
Okay.
But because of that, it's fairly new, and they don't have, like I said, their API and integration is slim to none. The other companies, the one that I tried, didn't have a good portal either. And then I had to migrate from one to the other, so it was kind of messy. But the software, the CRM part limits itself.
But if somebody had one that did all the things, there's no reason that you have to do it other than it doesn't exist yet or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, I forgot about my second question, so I'll let Teresa go.
Because your brain is creating one. Are you creating one? Yeah. I just found her next business venture. Now I lost my train of thought. How are people finding you and finding out that there is another option? If you've had a steady workflow, and do you have contractors that, like for me, I get called in on a lot of hail claims. A lot of times the general contractor is dealing with the insurance, and they seem to know, okay, we're a match state. You can't just paint 3 sides of the house. I know those things. I'm not going to fight with the insurance. That's not ever what I've done or will I do. But do you have a list of contractors that send people your way?
Yes. I work with pretty much every major contractor in the city.
Offended.
Wow. Don't feel bad.
I thought we were friends.
When I first started, I took the time and I printed nice letters and I signed each one and I hand wrote their address and I sent them all out. Crickets. Nobody called me back. Nobody even acknowledged me. And then one day I remember I sent a letter to one of them and they called me. And I was like, now you need help. Gotcha. But, I that's a majority of it. I started in the industry working with my cousin in contracting. So I was kind of looped in with the contractors on the ground floor. So that when I got my license, they kind of knew, oh no, there's someone with a license. Send them to them. So that's how I do most of it, is contractor networking. I've got attorneys that refer me. I've got some other PAs that refer me, but most of it is just word of mouth through contractors.
So you're better than a general contractor. You're like a boutique, high-end paint.
Yeah, you're
exclusive paint.
I will have to be in contact.
Yeah. And I always need painters for expert opinions. So.
Scott's got a question right over here.
Yes.
Have you developed relationships with personal injury lawyers for the auto side? Because personal injury lawyers can't help somebody if there wasn't an injury, but you can help them if somebody comes in. My car is all wrecked up. Well, did you go to the hospital? Well, no, there's no injury. They're like, sorry, deal with it. You could come in and be like, I can help you though.
I should do that. I didn't think of that.
I see that your neck really hurts right now. What else is up?
You're not taking on any new clients though right now, right? Is that?
That's what I told myself 2 months ago.
Yeah.
And I've got 5 new ones as we speak. So yes, I am. If they come, I'll take them.
Okay. So in the expectation, at what point do you learn how you're going to get paid? So you've given us a couple of examples of like, sometimes it's like this and sometimes it's like this and something. Is there a point in which you learn how the payment is going to be in any one of those scenarios?
I would say the definite point is when the first check comes.
Okay.
Because there's a threshold with mortgage companies, and if it's under 40,000, they don't put the mortgage company on it. But the mortgage company is always listed in the insurance documents.
Okay.
So then I have to figure out, okay, is the total claim above 40? Are we reaching that point? So the first check is the real kind of definite point of where I find that out. Because I've had some where they just don't. It's like 72,000 and they don't put anything on it. So first check is probably the best way to.
But you don't know before the check comes what that's going to be like. Okay.
No.
Okay. I'm wondering if you could develop, like, here's the 10 most common ways that things go, right? Giving some of the examples that you've given us, so that when you decide if you're going to, kind of like Rebecca said, have people initial, or like David said, be a little bit more tedious about, that process and what they go through. If it goes like this is what we're going to do. If it goes like, I kind of narrow it down based on the scenario to more, set those expectations on the front end so that they know what it's going to, but based on these 10 possibilities or 5 possibilities. Does that make sense? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I like that.
I was also just thinking if you could have like a broad expectation, like, hey, the check might come to you first. I need it to get to me for you to get the work on your house done, for the contractor to get paid. Like, so it's not like sitting around. Like you set that, like, make sure they're aware that there is a negative aspect of them just forgetting to get it to you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so yeah, whatever it is, however the check comes, like, make sure that it gets to me so that we can get your work done,
I like that. It's true.
You think last time's list was long. She's on the second page.
Yeah.
What's up? Everybody got their questions asked? Toby, got anything? Good.
A couple quick ones, I guess, real quick. Is there any type of customer that you avoid or can't really help? Because from what I'm hearing, you can help pretty much anyone with, especially with home stuff.
Yeah, I don't. I avoid the lower price range on the home, and depending on the policy. So if they have like an ACV policy where they only get depreciation, I can't really help you on that, because you're going to get a little amount anyway because of the policy you paid for. Same with smaller houses. If the house is like 90,000, 100,000, which are unrealistic numbers in this market, but those types of homes, if, like, let's say it's a roof that's like 10 square, I'm not going to be able to help much on that because the contractors, there's not a lot there to help with. I can help with a lot, but I like to have a gap of, like, I need to be able to increase your claim by at least 20,000. So if I can't increase it by at least 20, then I'll usually say, no, I can't help you. And I can find that out most of the time based on their insurance documents. But it just depends on the person as well, because there's some people in general that are just like, maybe not.
Sure.
And then you said like licensing's pretty easy and straightforward. Like, have you thought about training up employees to get licensed and kind of managing a team who are getting new clients, and you're more of a managerial supervisor role for scaling?
Yes, I have. Texas would probably be the first place to do that. And then I just realized that managing the business is a little easier than managing people. So I'm kind of hesitant to involve more people just because that's like, now I have to manage this person and team plus these claims. But that wouldn't be a bad place to go if I can just get people to, people that are in it. Yeah. Yeah.
Thanks for validating insurance in a little bit, so I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do think that if you are getting a denial, that it's more of an ask or a request for more information. So I appreciate the way that you go about talking about solving that kind of problem for people. I'm wondering if there's an insurance agent that works with the exact policies that you prefer to have written for a home. Because I'm wondering if there's almost like a front end advertising of like, let's set the stage for the kind of policy you want so that when these claims happen, because they're going to happen to somebody and it could very well be you. That's why we buy insurance. Then we can get you in the way that you want to be, right? Where you have the negotiation power, where you're not in that policy you mentioned that you don't like writing, or you have the right insurance and you have an insurance agent that's licensed to help you go over the contract on the front end and where you're going on it at the back end. And then you could do almost like a podcast or like small video reels, right? Where you're setting the expectation, but from the front where you're like, yeah, it might be more expensive, but this is what you give up when you don't buy the right policy. And you're going to have a lot of insurance agents that want to do that with you because they are incentivized, right? And then you have advocates, right? Where you're like, this is the attorney that I like to use for this reason, and this is the insurance agent that knows the right companies that we want to work at, and then helps you understand it from the front end, and then you can counteract that with why.
Yeah, that's really good.
That's why there's a law firm called The Advocates, right? Really good.
Yes.
I have a question. What is it like? Because if I'm State Farm and I have my own adjusters that I've kind of trained to live the State Farm way, probably the easiest way to say that. What has it been like, your relationship, building those relationships with these companies that already have their adjusters? You're coming in their minds, maybe as an outsider, but you really are an advocate for, I think, for everybody. What has that been like for you as far as the relationship building? Because obviously we know that's key.
I take a really weird, different approach. I treat them with kindness. They're human beings. I know that they have a process, because they're huge conglomerates. So everything is processed to a T. So likely, if they can't give me something, it's just because their system won't allow it. So in building relationships, I never pester them. I never badger them. I never call them bad people. They're people like me doing a job, and they see me as the same. And it's been good. And it's Montana. So I have to work with them over and over and over again. So I try not to piss them off if I can.
Well, I like that. I ran into a guy, said the same thing you did. He said, these people are just trying to pay their bills and get their kids through college too late. Be nice. So yeah. It's true. It's true.
Yep, they are.
Who else wants to go? Time for one more question.
You do anything with the commercial properties?
Yes. Yep. I just looked at a country club in Bozeman last week. I've looked at an HOA in Bozeman. I can do commercial. Commercial is really, essentially, they're the same as homes. The construction's a little different. The coverages are a little different, but really they're all the same. Peril, hail, hit, house, insurance, pay money. Pretty standard. Commercial is just a bigger structure in general. It's a little bit more intricate parts to it, but coverages are pretty much outlined the same.
Well, that's a good question, because there's a lot more of the Zimmerman luxury type of apartment complexes going up, assisted living facilities. I mean, all that stuff is more affordable if it's squished together, right? All that makes sense. That's good. Good question. Anybody else? One more time. Great. You feel like you got some value out of that? Awesome. Big hand for Keoni.